much to lose. There's no one else I'd rather risk it with. I'm gonna share the love with you. I've never seen the sky so blue.
Welcome to Skits and Quibbles, the UK's independent variety TV show. I'm your host, Thomas W. Kelly. So, check this out. In November 2024, the UK government released their new budget, followed immediately by the statement, "This is not a budget." Now, it's like taking pink Monopoly money to a gay bar and saying, "This is not a joke." So tonight, we have three hilarious guests on the show. The boundary-pushing American comedian, Allan Fuks. The queerly observational comic, Rhys Thorne. And the human fondant fancy that tells dick jokes, Aidan Morris. But first, here's What the Cluck. Let's take a look at Australians in space. Surprisingly, not the title of a sci-fi comedy, but a multi-billion-dollar industry, you beaut. Now, just to clarify, I am Australian, despite sounding like an Englishman who's recently recovered really well from a head injury. Australia is perfectly placed to launch rockets into space. And if you can smell like the mangoes and beer in the air vacuum, it's not your blood capillaries bursting in your brain. The Aussies are here. This is ground control. Come in. This is sponsorship. We're heaps orbital, mate. Before we commence docking procedure, report on oxygen levels. Well, Baz has been on the hydroponics, so the oxygen is 30% THC. Now, this industry is so big that Australia will host the 2025 International Astronautical Congress. Now, if you say that with an Aussie accent 3 times, Steve Owen's ghost appears wearing a space helmet and nothing else. Crikey, that's an erection! So why are Australians so hot for space? Well, to finally have a place where spiders don't outnumber the people? Or to film the reality TV prequel to Mad Max? You know, they're actually 3D printing rockets now, and that's right, it's not just vasers and dildos anymore. But what kind of space mission, you ask? Well, specifically for heaps good repair missions and wicked sick refueling. But Australians won't just be the galactic RAC, no, they're also very serious about military satellites. In fact, the government recently scrapped a plan to build a $5.3 billion Death Star. See, leaders in space defense called this move a shitstick wank bucket. But government has insisted that this is a multi-orbital capability, which I'm sure is an anagram for like Skynet. It just really begs the question, will the Terminator that murders me be American or Chinese? See, Aussie space companies collaborate with SpaceX, led by the cosmic robot goblin Awkward Prime, sometimes referred to as Elon Musk. Now, other than printing space-bound dildos to repair multi-orbital Death Stars, Elonotron loves video games. Now, I'm a gamer. I love elite headshots, collecting rare loot drops, and ignoring my emotions harder than the Conservatives with a national debt. See, back when I was 6, we actually had 12-bit video games and floppy disks. Yeah, I'm having a midlife crisis. So, what's my favourite game, no one asked? Well, it's Cyberpunk 2077, where you fight cyborgs and corporate overlords in dystopian America, or, as Amazon calls it, a workplace shooting. But what does this multi-billion-dollar industry actually leave us with? Games offer the illusion of connection, but leave us lonelier than a dinner with your mother-in-law. So, Thomas, what do you do with your time off? Oh, I love playing Anime Girl Karaoke Island. So, about that divorce. See, games can put us in a state of fight or flight, much like watching Tom Cruise attempt a sex scene. Now, despite the multiplayer, chat-fueled, modern game experience, they can leave you more isolated than an Aussie space cadet 3D printing dildos. But games are so much fun. Where else but Battlefield can I feel like a World War I soldier and then get fragged by a 12-year-old from Ohio screaming, "Die, faggot!" You see, when I first moved to London, I laboured night shifts, I didn't have many friends, and I watch YouTubers game with their friends to make me feel slightly better about my miserable existence. A bit like Donald Trump watching Fox and Friends, but less sociopath with nuclear codes and more sad comedian with a pink Xbox. Now, I was lonelier than a comedian at a Trump rally. Lonelier even than an international screening of The Apprentice. Do I smell mangoes in the studio? Oh no, sorry, it's just the Aussies in space screaming that the nukes have been launched. Yes, if Elon Awkward Prime can make us a home on another planet, maybe, just maybe, we'll make it off this rock before the Aussies invent zero-gravity spiders and call a sickie on Skynet. Well, that's it for What the Cluck. Let's launch this show and introduce our first guest. Yes, tonight we are joined by a comedian with an upbringing as unique as his humour. From Belgium to the Bronx, Allan's carved out a place in comedy, hosting the Week in Sex podcast and appearing on SiriusXM and NPR. With a talent for finding humour in life's absurdities, please welcome the man who's turning laughs into a legacy, Allan Fuks.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be here with you. This is pretty cool. I'll bring up to speed on my life. All right. Here's a quick recap. Here we go. 2 divorces, 1 bankruptcy, 7 years of college, no degree. Fuck yeah. I'm proud to be an American. And the best part is, I'm a life coach. My country rocks. Oh, I hope they never fix it. That's what I love about America. We have no standards, no requirements for any job, up to and including president. It's the best. But it is cool. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling pretty good about this year. Not even this year, this decade actually. Yeah, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say already, 2020's best decade ever. The best decade in the history of mankind on planet Earth. 2020s. Yes, the best. If you're the owner of a weed dispensary shop, or if you sell military weaponry on a global scale, this is your slice of heaven. So here's what I propose to you guys, right? Here's what I propose. I want to start a business that sells both. A one-stop shop. And I got the perfect name that encompasses the weed and the bombs. You ready? Up in Smoke. Who's with me, Shark Tank? Come and get it. But it is cool being here in England. It's very nice. I like to research places when I visit. I found out that your birth rate is actually plummeting. It's plummeting, yeah. It's going to be a massive kid shortage in 10 years, which is really bad news if you're a pedo. Otherwise, who cares, really? I mean, you know. Does it really matter? For me, that's a quality of life improvement. Can we get that kid shortage happening now? I'm flying out tomorrow, please. No, it is. I think that's why I see so many priests walking around. And they look deep in thought, vexed, you know, kind of frowny face. And I'm like, oh, I know. They know what's coming. They know that their product's going to be harder to get. A little too dark for well-being media studios? Is that a little... I feel like I'm bringing darkness to this positivity seminar that this is supposed to be or something. I don't know what's going on here. But it is cool. I started dating one of your people, a Brit. Yes. I wanted to experience that. And the stereotypes, all true. It really is true. The differences between us, like, as an American, I'm loud. She's quiet. I have unearned confidence. She has too much self-doubt. I'm optimistic. She thinks I'm dumb as shit. Why would you be optimistic? You have to be mentally challenged right now. Something is wrong. We should do a test for lead. But no, it is nice. I'm enjoying this. I am. And let me tell you this. I like performing everywhere, and I'm grateful for every show I get to do, as a comic, because I've had horrible jobs, before I started stand-up. I used to play superheroes at kids' parties. Yeah. And it was bad. I was not meant for the job, especially at that time in my life, because I was going through a weed addiction and a food addiction. I was freshly divorced, had a bad back. I was living with my parents. I was in my 30s. I mean, it was horrible. It was hard. Do I was like, I'd put on the costume, my beer guts hanging out. It'd be every day. I'd race out of my parents' house. Do you know what it's like to leave one set of parents who are disappointed to see you, to go to another set of parents who are disappointed to see you? No one in their right mind wants to see fat Spider-Man at their 8-year-old's birthday party. Nobody. And I think I'm the first guy who ever got fired for working for a superhero company. And rightfully so. I'll tell you really quick. Here's how I got fired, right? I was high as fuck. And I put on my costume, and I race out. And I'm like, oh, wow, I got here early. You know what? I got the munchies. Let me pop into Chipotle. I got a burrito. One thing, I don't know if you guys, you probably don't know this. Tell me if you do. Do you know how difficult it is to eat a burrito with cumbersome Spider-Man gloves? I'm guessing no. It's tough, That burrito is slipping and sliding all over the place, and I spilled it all over my costume, I was wearing that, what do you call it, Tom's deodorant, because I was like, oh, I don't want to lose my memory, because I'm already smoking weed. I got to counteract that with aluminum-free deodorant. That's weed logic, if you're not, if you're keeping track here. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm smelling of BO and salsa, and I call the guy. I'm like, hey, I'm actually here early. Can I pop in? He's like, yeah, where are you? And I tell him where I am. He's like, you're over an hour away from us. I was like, oh no, I'm late. I want to be so late. So I raced down there. And here's the other thing I'll tell you about these superhero party companies. They are beyond low budget. The costume, this wasn't like Tom Holland, MCU universe. This was more like homeless man, lost his children, woke up from behind a dumpster, Spider-Man, you know what I mean? It was, it just didn't look right, but listen, I'm a guy, I care, I want to be decent, so I put on the costume and I see all right, this is, it's ill-fitting, my gut's sticking out, but I also, it was, you could see every detail. They could tell that I am Jewish, okay? It was, so I was like, I better do something, right? And my pothead mind, I'm like, that's the only area I focused on improving. I was like, everything else is fine. The stains, the smell, the gut, but something must be done. So I go, to make myself even more late, I go to an athletic store to get an athletic cup. And they're out of stock of every size except double XL. So I popped this bad boy in. I popped it in. I didn't realize it was strap it, right? So it's really loosey-goosey. And I show up, right? Finally I show up over an hour late. I open the door. The father is there, furious, and he sees the stains. He gets a whiff. He sees my humongous bulge and just a lot of skin. And he's like, what the hell are you supposed to be? I'm Spider-Man. The fuck you ain't? He's like, but come on in, you know? So I come in, and I don't know if you guys know this, but kids are cruel and brutally honest. As soon as I walk in, this one kid's like, oh my God, hey Spider-Man, how do you climb up buildings being so overweight? And I'm like still in character, so I'm like, slowly. You know, I got high blood pressure, so I take breaks. You know, you gotta watch yourself. So it's brutal. And he's like, come on, man, you got to get to your Spider-Man stuff. I'm like, all right, give me a moment. I had a lot of Chipotle. And I have constipation issues. Can I really use your bathroom? I got to go. If I don't, I'm going to explode in this costume. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, I got to use the bathroom. So I go to use the bathroom, and, you know, this doesn't help the situation, but I have OCD and germophobia. So every bathroom visit for me is another 30 minutes. So I'm in this guy's bathroom. And they're like, my presence is bringing them to the verge of divorce, okay? I heard the mother go, she knocks on the door. She's like, come out already. I'm like, I need more time. You're making me more nervous. And she's like, what? And then she eventually like, why are you doing this to us? So I got fired, and that's how I learned a very, very valuable lesson as Spider-Man. I learned that with very little power comes virtually no responsibility. Thank you so much, guys. Love you. Thank you.
How do you think growing up in the Bronx informed you as a comic?
Well, one thing I'd recommend, if you go, change everything about your appearance.
Okay.
Do not go like this.
Am I like, I want a beating?
Oh, you look fabulous. Yeah, you look fabulous. But they'll be like, is this a Final Fantasy VII character, or am I hallucinating?
Oh, yes, please.
Or you're gonna want to look like, you have to. It's a tough area. Yeah, I was terrified as a child. I think my whole family was terrified. For themselves. They didn't really care about me. I think they're actually hoping I'd be like the first one to go. And
It's a cost saving.
I think so. I think they're like, this guy's eating too much of our food, and we could downsize. Well, we have 2 bedrooms, we have 1. Even my dad was like, well, let's make him throw out the garbage, which doesn't sound scary if you live in suburbia or a safe neighborhood. But there was like a long L-shaped corridor. So he would be like, he'd open a door, just a tiny sliver. He's like, okay, he'd push me out. He's like, run as fast as your little feet can carry you, and get to that garbage and try to come back, in one piece. Good luck to you. And I do that. And I mean, I had a lot of trauma from an early age. I was oddly proportioned too. My head was this size since I was 4. I was just like all head and, little legs and little hands, little arms. And kids noticed that. And it's like almost my parents were trying. It was almost like a game. It's like, how much more of a target can we make him? Because it's the South Bronx. It's the equivalent of going to like the worst prison in a developing country, And they're dressing me like we have money, which we don't. But somehow they found a way to make me look like I'm a trust fund child. Oh no! They would dress me in like a Republican-y sweater, dress slacks, shoes, like an Anchorman haircut, and a tie. Like what?
Were like other kids selling you?
They considered it. I could see them thinking, they're like, how much do you think we get for him? Like I had my sneakers stolen from me. Literally, people were like, he's got sneakers. They're better than ours. Why are we allowing that to happen? But it's good. You get to learn about prison culture when you're 8, and I think that's healthy. Because I learned, you befriend the one that everyone is terrified of, right? So I found the biggest, scariest guy. His last name was literally Kong, and everyone was afraid of him. So I made him laugh, and then he took me under his protection. No gay stuff. I had his protection until I did a joke at his expense, and then he's like, "We're done here."
and then it was back to the wolves. Yeah, and I had like zero judgment about things I should and shouldn't say, and they had they had some anti-Semitism there, and I didn't know about any of it, like so. I remember like this one kid was like, your people killed our God, your people killed Jesus, that's our God, and instead of being like, yeah, it's whatever, cool, dude, I was like, well, if he's a god, why was it so easy for us to kill him?
Zing!
You may want to look into that, because I don't know how much of a god he was. And, people like that don't take kindly to those comments. He wasn't like, oh, thanks for opening my eyes. Wow. No, he was like, I'm going to kill you. But
Is it still with the Republican thing going on?
it's still the Republican thing. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Okay, so you could have even just knocked on doors and people would have mistaken you for maybe a Mormon.
Yeah. It was definitely an oddity. It was like a bug in the machine. And then I remember everyone was just like, it was almost like they're afraid to be near me because they're afraid there'd be collateral damage. And I was like a lonely kid.
I relate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was I found the only people who would talk to me were the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because I would give them the false promise of converting me, just to have a conversation.
With all of this, and because you became a stand-up comedy, obviously you got a lot to vent about.
A little bit.
Which I like. I like the venting. And you did a Toronto comedy festivals and New York, and you're touring Europe right now.
Yeah.
If you were to turn around and look at maybe a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give about getting into comedy?
I would say write everything down. Record everything, because some of these stories are so outrageous, people may not believe you. And I would say start as soon as possible. Go out there, go to open mics, start as soon as you possibly can. And don't let it get to you, I discovered my sense of humor very late in life. It was because my family is so intensely serious. My father is the most serious man you'll ever meet in your entire life, So I wish I had kind of figured that stuff out earlier.
Yeah, I agree. Reconciling who you were as a person and then starting as soon as possible was really important. I just wanted to quickly ask you, where can we find about your shows online?
Just follow me on Instagram, Allan Fuks, Allan Fuks. Fuks is my real last name. It's not comedy. It's not like a gimmick. It's not, I was born with that name, which made life in the Bronx so much easier. But yeah. They could look me up there. And the other thing I would say to kids is, that cliche of it gets better and all that stuff. It's not true. It gets worse than better, and then really bad, and then good. It's an EKG. But I would say, have more confidence in yourself, and also it's okay to think less of others. It's okay. Yeah, be a little, realize not everyone, you shouldn't accept everyone's judgment and opinion of you.
Yeah.
As gospel, just think about who cares if some people hate you. That's what I say. Come to that realization sooner. It's okay if some people hate you.
Yes.
You'll deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah, just love yourself.
Love yourself, and you'll find the ones who love you. Have faith.
Profound. Thank you so much for joining me on set, Allan.
Thank you.
I am delighted to introduce a charming and inspirational comedian. He only burst into the scene a couple of years ago, but in that short time, he's captured audiences across the UK with his wit and a unique perspective as a gay man with cerebral palsy. He's got that blend of humour and heart that's really rare to find. So please welcome the one and only Rhys Thorne.
Thank you so much. It's an honour to be here on the television in Bedford. Next minute I'll be in the movies in Slough. I'll tell you a bit about me. My name's Rhys. I do have cerebral palsy. It's not just for the act. No, thank you. It is a thing. My parents are very supportive of me, very lovely people. Weren't initially thrilled, I think, to have a disabled child. Don't worry, it's not the joke. I say this because thinking back to my childhood at bath time, when my mum would bath me, she'd give me a special toy, which was indeed my favourite toaster. Thank you, yes. Yes, buckle up or it's going to be a long 10 minutes. And no, it was a microwave. But no, they are lovely. My mum was surprised when I came out. Thank you. I know. It was quite awkward, a bit of an awkward conversation on the way home from theatre school. I don't quite know how I could have made it more obvious unless my umbilical cord was a feather boa. But no, she is lovely. She is lovely. My parents are from Wales. I am Welsh. Gracias. My dad was in the army for 25 years. Yes, this is exactly what he'd hoped for from his firstborn daughter. He is lovely. My brother is a Welsh rugby player. Thank you. And I took him clubbing not so long ago for the first time. I took him to a gay bar. And when we walked in, my brother turns to me and he goes, "Whoa, it stinks of fags in here." And I was like, "Wouldn't it?" And I was like, the amount of people that turned around, it was like being on The Voice. My family are lovely. Growing up in Wales, going to school, you know, they'd yell at me that I was a puff and I was a faggot, I was a queer. I'd say, "Thanks, Dad." And mince on in. I do surprise people when I say that I had a good time at school. Not a fan of sports day. And the reason for this is because every year, without fail, this is genuinely true, I was entered, period. No, I was entered for the obstacle race. Getting the kid with cerebral palsy to do the obstacle course. Yes, thank you, Panto crowd. It's like getting the deaf kid to do the bleep test, isn't it? It's not right, but it is okay. But no, I tried to hide the fact that I was gay at school, which was difficult because even my A-level results spelt ABBA. My GCSE results spelt Dancing Queen. No, but I did Welsh at school for 13 years, right? 13 years of learning Welsh. And I left school being able to say 2 phrases. Phrase number 1, "Ga I fynd i'r tŷ bach os gwelwch yn dda," which means, I need the toilet. Phrase number 2, "Mae fy ffrind Llywelyn yn weithio fel bricky," which means my friend Llewellyn works as a brickie. Phrase is only useful if you go cruising on a Welsh building site. So what can I say? It has been quite useful. It's a gay joke. But no, Welsh is a ridiculous language, really, isn't it? It does look like someone's punched a keyboard and gone, "Gorgeous name for a town." Vowels, never heard of her. And I say this because all the way through school, we were taught words that were Welsh, and we just believed them without question. Number 1 is the word for microwave. We were told all the way through school was pop-de-ping. Yeah, like a language that's been invented by people seeing things for the first time. The other one is the word for jellyfish. We were told all the way through school was pysgod wibbly wobbly. And I said this at a gig once, and a guy came up to me after, and he was like, "You're making fun of the Welsh language. I don't appreciate it." This is how I talked before I came out. "You should do your research and tell people a true word for jellyfish in Welsh." Now, prepare yourselves. I did do some research on what is the actual real word for jellyfish in Welsh. It is contimor, which literally translates, I apologise, Nan, as cunt of the sea. Is genuinely true. Got me thinking, what would be cunt of the sky? Probably seagulls. Cunt of the land, Russell Brand. Thank you. That joke was fabulous 4 months ago. No, satire. But no, I do love being from Wales. Like I say, my family are all from Wales. My auntie, right, she is from a little Welsh town in Rhasa, and I love her. She has one of the worst tattoos I've ever seen in my life. Now, I recently got my first tattoo, and I thought long and hard about what I wanted to get, because my family have a terrible history. My dad is covered head to toe in tattoos. He looks like a high school exam desk come to life. And my auntie Debbie, if she's watching this, I'm never going home, but she has the worst tattoo I've ever seen in my life, right? She's from a little Welsh town in the valleys called Rhasa, notable because it's one of the few Welsh words with vowels in the name. And she wanted to get Rhasa tattooed across her back. She is a classy gal, is Debbie. Now, she goes to the tattoo parlour in Rhasa. She's lived in Rhasa her whole life. You'd think she'd know how to spell it. The tattoo across her back says Russia. This is genuinely true. She has Russia across her back like a Putin groupie. Could you imagine it the other way around? A gal mincing around Moscow with Aberystwyth across her tits. A cheeky little tramp stamp that says Llanfairpwll Gwyngycogerwch Wyndrowch Llantysilio Goch. Thank you. But I will leave you with this little tale. I don't speak Welsh, as you've probably realised, but I do, however, speak Spanish. Merci. And the reason why I speak Spanish is because I lived in Mexico for 3 years. Not so much as a drug mule, more of a drug unicorn. And when I got to Mexico City for the first time, I checked into a hostel, and the guy turned to me behind the desk and he said, "Eres gay?" And I said, "Sí." And he said to me, "The reason I'm asking you this is because you need to be careful." I was like, "Por qué?" Because at night in Mexico City, the last carriage of the metro, the back carriage, if you will, is used by gay men to fuck. Oh, gracias for la información. 3 days I spent on that fucking carriage. No one offered me a seat. It was lovely. I got thinking, imagine if we brought that to London, like Transport for London introduces bumming on the Bakerloo line. Get your knobs out in the Northern. See it, suck it, sit on it. And on that glorious note, I'll leave you there. Thank you very much. I've been Rhys Thorne.
Rhys, thank you for joining me here on set.
Thank you very much.
You glorious person, you. So, dig it, right? I've noticed online that you've got some accolades. You burst onto the scene since 2021. I'm just reading from the list here. Yeah. Because you won the King Gong show, right, at the Comedy Store.
Yes.
You did a semi-finalist at So You Think You're Funny. Mm-hmm. And you also shortlisted for the BBC New Comedian of the Year.
Yes.
Which I find very tasty. But like, I'm very curious, what inspired you to first step into stand-up?
You're asking the cerebral palsy guy what inspired him to step in. I've always wanted to do stand-up. I've always loved comedy. My parents kind of raised me being like, life's going to be hard for you, so you want to laugh about it. Which was kind of how they raised me. And my dad used to take me to stand-up shows when I was a kid.
Okay.
My dad loved stand-up comedy. And then I thought, I'd love to do that, because my family communicate by taking the piss out of each other.
Ah, okay.
So it was during the lockdown that I found a comedy course. And then once the lockdown got lifted, I was like, I'm going to do it.
Fantastic. And when you've been navigating, like, in the comedy in the last couple of years, do you think it's changed you as a person?
I think it's definitely made me more confident. It's helped to kind of develop an onstage persona. I wouldn't say I'm a very confident person. Doing comedy has kind of helped me build confidence as both Rhys off stage and Rhys on stage. It's been quite nice.
So, like, you joke about having cerebral palsy, and I really respect that, because you own it, you take it back, and then you use it as a way to represent yourself in the way that you want to represent yourself. And, like, when you're writing these jokes, how do you find the balance, between talking about your identity and, like, representing, like, who you are or who you perceive other people to be with your condition?
I feel like you should be able to joke about anything. I feel like there should be nothing off limits. And, some people find disabled people jokes offensive, but I would never joke about a disability that I don't have. And like I said, I grew up taking the mick out of myself and my parents taking the mick out of me. It's all jokes that I've just heard growing up that I'm like, I finally get to tell on stage and may as well charge people to hear them. I think as well, some people get on board with dark humour and this kind of stuff, and some people don't, and that's fine. If they don't like it, I don't care, as long as they've bought a ticket, and that's fine.
I think you should be a producer.
Yeah. But no, it's also trying to find a balance of not making disability jokes the only thing that I say. Because like you say, it's part of me, but it doesn't define me. It's just a part of who I am. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Good. I respect that. I really do respect that. So one thing I was really curious to talk to you about is the kind of other people will be tuning into this episode who may be living with conditions like disabilities or even neurodivergence, and they look at you and they think, I want his Grindr profile. But they may also be thinking...
They can have it.
They can have it. But they may all be thinking, like, how do I build myself up to doing what he does? What advice would you give to these people?
I'd say if you don't feel ready to do something like this, don't rush it. I've wanted to do stand-up for years, but it took me, I'd say, at least 3 years to kind of get the courage to start it. I wanted to do it since I was about 20, but I couldn't find a way to do it. So don't rush it. And it's easier said than done. And this took a lot of time to develop, but I don't care what people think about me. Which, if I could go back 10 years ago, 19-year-old Rhys would very much care. But 29-year-old Rhys couldn't care less. And that comes with age, doesn't it? The older you get, the less you kind of care what people think about you. Developing a thick skin is important. And I think a lot of people with disabilities, whether they are physical or mental neurodivergence, we kind of do develop a thick skin because you have to. Because the world is a cruel place. And to get through it, the easiest way to do it is laugh. And that's what I try to do. Because if I didn't laugh at some of the stuff that I've experienced and growing up with disabilities and growing up being gay, openly gay, then I don't know where I'd be, quite frankly, without finding the funny in it.
Yes. Very well put. So, Rhys, I'm sure people will also want to find you online. What's the best way to do that?
I am on Instagram, Rhys Does Comedy, and TikTok @_Rhys Thorne.
Fantastic.
And LinkedIn, Rhys Thorne. And I'm also at Grindr, Rhys. I'm on Tinder. And Plenty of Fish. I'm not. I have a boyfriend. Thank you.
Rhys, you're gorgeous. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, to close the show, we have a Canadian expat here to take down the patriarchy one dick joke at a time, all under the confusing visuals of a modern-day pin-up doll. So yeah, this 5-star powerhouse of talent is known for her unique blend of humour and depth. Will it be personal, puerile, or profound? Yes, please. Please welcome Aidan Morris.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you guys. guys. That's so nice. Thank you. As you heard correctly, yes, my name is Aiden. Yes, I am female. Yes, I was assigned as such at birth. And yes, it is that big of a problem that I have to use that disclaimer. I'd just like to get that out of the way. I do get a lot of questions about my name, particularly from Uber drivers for some reason. I don't know what it is about owning a Prius that makes you the gender police. But I've been asked about my genitals more times in an Uber than on Grindr. So I'd just like to get it out of the way, right? But I do know, especially over here in the UK, it is more commonly a male name, right? So it does cause me trouble, particularly when I go to make appointments for things, right? Because like most appointments are made online or over the phone. And when you hear the name Aiden Morris, you don't expect this coming through the door, right? Like I remember I made a doctor's appointment a couple years ago, and I go, and there's just me and one other woman in the waiting room, and the nurse comes out with her little file, and she goes, Aiden? And I go, yeah, that's me. She goes, oh, sorry, I was expecting a boy. And I went, okay. I booked a pap smear. What exactly were you expecting was going to happen today? It was going to be uncomfortable for one of us. So, yes. But no, I'm very happy to be here in London. I mean, very North London. But it's lovely. I am from East London, if anybody is familiar. Great. That's correct. That's the correct response. You may be able to guess. You may be able to tell. I am not native to East London, just due to my blatantly obvious full set of teeth. Really sets me apart over there. No, I am kidding. I will address the accent, okay, because I can feel everyone getting very nervous about it. I can feel all your little British butts just tightening up with every word that I say. But guess what? I have some very good news for you. I'm Canadian. Way! All of your butts just unclenched. I saw it. It was great. It was great. You feel better now, don't you? Yes. No, it's fine. We hate them too. We hate them too. It's fine. It's fine. Sorry to any Americans watching, but yikes. But no, it is hard. It's really hard to tell the difference between the American and the Canadian accent, right? Particularly being over here. So I will give you one, like, fail-safe, super easy way to tell the difference between American and Canadian accents. And the key lies in the word sorry, right? Because we pronounce sorry with a big old rounded O, like sorry, right? And Americans never say the word at all because they have no manners. So that's, yeah, it's subtle, but if you listen, you'll hear it. I'm so sorry to any Americans watching. Sorry. But yeah. That's the key difference there. But I love living in London. It's amazing. I will say it's a bit strange living in your ex-colonizer's country because the name Canada, if you've never been to London, it's everywhere here. It's everywhere here, right? There's Canada Water, Canada Gate, Canada Pavilion, Canada, it's just everywhere, right? And it can make you a little bit paranoid, right? I'll give you an example. I was on the way home one day. I had a lovely dinner out with my friends, but I accidentally drank 2 bottles of Sauvignon Blanc, which made me a bit sleepy, so I fell asleep on the way home, right? I was on the overground, which, if anyone's not familiar, it's the exact same as the underground, just above, just with cell phone service. It's great. So I fell asleep, right? And eventually some nice man taps me on the shoulder and he goes, oh, sorry, we're at Canada Water. And I awaken from my Sauvignon Blanc-induced coma and I just run, right? Now, here's where the paranoia sets in. Canada Water was not my stop. Number 2, I was by myself. So I didn't speak to anybody, he didn't hear my voice, nothing. So why Canada Water, right? So now I am seriously so paranoid that I'm just wildly patriotic in my sleep. Like, I'm really worried. Like, was I sitting there just going, oh, Canada. More maple syrup, please. Celine Dion should be on the money. My mom fucks Bryan Adams. I'm very concerned about my sleeping habits now, guys. Very concerned. But no, it's really nice. The one last question I will answer for all of you beautiful people, because I can see you pondering about it? And the answer is yes. This is my real hair. Suck it. Yeah, it's nice, right? Obviously, I do it myself. I do it every day. I love it. But I do get the same questions about it every day, over and over again. How do you do it? Is it easy to maintain? Can I come in it? And it's just like fucking boring, you know? Yeah. And I think sometimes people, it gives people the wrong impression, right? Like they think I'm trying to look like somebody else or I'm trying to impersonate somebody. And that's not true. I'm just trying to look better than you. And I've accomplished that. So well done me. Yes. Yes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The real reason, guys, a little secret, real reason that I've chosen this particular aesthetic is purely so that I may remind old rich white men of their mothers, so that they may form unhealthy attachments to me, so that I may steal all their money and then topple the patriarchy from the inside. Yes. Thank you. That is the goal. Yeah, I know. I may look like a 50s housewife with a Chardonnay problem, but I am the lefty feminist pinup of their nightmares. Yes, I am. Yes. That is my 5, 10, 15-year plan right there. Definitely, yeah. No, it's definitely not just to overcompensate for the boy name. Definitely not. Definitely not. But no, I am starting to worry though that this whole thing may actually be keeping me single, and because I'm really single. Like I am so single. It's an accomplishment when I finish a loaf of bread before it goes moldy. So that's yeah, it's real, you know. And I don't mean this in any kind of like self-deprecating way, you know. I own a mirror, but I just mean I get a very specific kind of attention looking like this, right? Like for example, you know, I think I'm like pretty enough that when I go to the farmer's market on the weekends, you know, the guy at the vegetable stall, he always rounds down, gives me a few pounds off, right? But I'm not so pretty that anyone actually wants to fuck me. It's a hard balance, you guys, right? Because like I think when you look like such an elegant, classy lady all of the time, people fail to see you for the truly dick-hungry whore that you are on the inside, you know? Thank you. And because I am, you guys, I want to tell you, you know, I am. Because, like, yes, sure, I know what fork to use first in a 7-course meal. But, like, it doesn't mean I don't want to be bent over the table and fucked after the meal, you know? Because I do. I'm like, of course I know what an amuse-bouche is, but I'd rather you abuse my bouche. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yes, no. No, I think the serious thing that's actually keeping me single is that I participate in way too many gay activities. I don't mean sexually, unfortunately. I'd be way more satisfied if I did. I just mean that I have the same general interests as most middle-aged gay men, right? Because my social calendar revolves around things like going to see West End shows, going to the drag brunches, going to see the concerts of the living divas, right? Not places you find a lot of available straight men. Where were all the hotties at the Cher concert? I don't know. It was just me and a sea of Graham Nortonses. That's all it was, okay? You know, but I think the thing I have the most in common with middle-aged gay men is an ever-growing disdain for straight women. Ugh, we are the fucking worst, okay? We are insufferable. And it's a particular breed of straight women, right? It's the type of woman that as soon as she hears someone is queer, she goes, oh my God, I'm basically a gay guy. Are you Becky, or do you just like Beyonce? Because guess what? Everybody likes Beyonce, okay? Jesus. And because really, Becky, not only, like, I hate that because not only does it just negate someone's experience as a queer person, but I highly doubt, Becky, that you like dick as much as a gay guy. Okay? Because, listen, I like dick, think it's great, made some terrible life decisions around it, so it must be pretty good, right? I have never left work for a 15-minute break to go suck dick in the alley, okay? I have 3 gay friends of mine that have done that this week. And it's only Tuesday. Okay? Amazing. You guys have all been wonderful. Thank you so much. My name is Aiden Morris.
Aidan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely delightful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I came to the same comedy night that you were in, because I met you in Edinburgh Fringe Festival
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
And you were also doing a one-woman show.
I was,
Is that right?
It was really, really fun. So this friend of mine who wrote and directed the wonderful play I did called All This Must Pass, we worked on a gig together a couple years ago, and right after, she actually came to one of my like very first stand-up shows ever, and she said, "I've been writing this play, and the tone of your stand-up is kind of the tone of voice I'd love to have for this play. Would you consider reading it?" And I did, and of course it was brilliant. Long story short, that was kind of it. And this was our third time doing the play. And yeah, this was our first fringe together. And it was just an amazing experience to get to do a one-woman play at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah.
So,
And you cleaned up a couple of 5-star reviews.
We did. Yes, we were very surprised. You want to say it's humbling, but it's also exceedingly validating.
Yeah.
Because it was also such a small team. All through rehearsals, we were like, well, we think it's good, but you really have no idea until you throw it up at people, you know? And so to get that kind of reaction back has just been such an honor and such a joy. So, yeah.
So from what I haven't seen it yet, but from what I understand, you played multiple characters, and you're doing like an ancestry. So tell us a little bit about what is the play about?
Yeah, so it's a woman who is going back through her ancestry, through her genealogy, and finding these people that she is related to, and it's connecting these ancestors with something that she's going through in the present moment that sort of all comes together at the end without giving it away. She was really lovely. She incorporated like my dance background into it, so there's a bit of dancing involved, there's some comedy elements. It is a serious, but yeah, so it just incorporated so many things that I love to do. So.
Yes, and because I understand when you lived in Canada before you moved to London, you're an actor, dancer.
Yes.
And do you find there's a big cultural difference in like working in the industry in Canada to the UK?
Yeah, I mean, there's just more. There's just so much more here. You know, Toronto does its best, and I love Toronto. They do have a very vibrant TV and film scene. They've got a lot of stuff for the States films in Toronto, which is great. I would say the theater and musical theater scene is a lot harder in Toronto than it is here. There's just less work.
So you went from Toronto with this kind of acting and dance thing, and you've recently combined it in a 5-star accolading play, and you combine these different mediums. What advice would you give to other, early stage artists who want to do this kind of multi-medium storytelling? And how did you overcome the challenges that it poses?
I mean, I think a lot of them were just these sort of things that either the industry or your makes you believe, or these things that you inherently believe yourself that, like, oh, I can't possibly mix this with that. You know, I grew up doing ballet very intensively. So the fact that I now do stand-up is wild, because you don't talk as a ballet dancer. Ballet dancers don't talk. We don't have personalities, it's all very serious. And I love ballet still. It's very fun, and ballet can be so fun. But so, don't be afraid of mixing these things that maybe inherently in your mind or in the way that we've seen in the world so far don't go together. You can find a way to make them go together and find a way to make it make sense.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think that's where the beauty of theatre is, really, is combining and letting go of all your preconceived ideas.
Absolutely.
So where can we find you online?
I am on Instagram, Aidan Morris 16, AIDAN MORRIS 16 is on Instagram. That's how you can find me.
And is there something that you'd like to promote coming up in 2025?
No, I will just say as well, not officially yet. There's lots of things in the works, but I can't officially reveal them yet. But as well as following me, you can also follow the show's Instagram, All This Must Pass on Instagram, and keep an eye on that, because hopefully we will be showing up somewhere, hopefully near you. or just in London again. I've already said too much, but yeah, follow me, follow the show.
Oh, that is titillating little bits of breadcrumbs there. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much.
Well. From all of us here at the Groovie Bunch, I'd like you to join me in thanking Allan Fuks, Rhys Thorne, and Aidan Morris. Thank you so much for watching, and you are clucking fabulous.